I have forever been obsessed with this incredibly simple and delicious chicken sandwich. We're going to fry some chicken and I'm going to show you how I make it. Before we assemble the sandwich here, there's a little prep we need to do. One thing we're going to make is a garlic aioli. I'm going to take a bulb of garlic here. We're just going to cut off the top to expose the cloves, cover them with a little bit of olive oil, wrap that in tin foil, and we're going to throw that into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. While that cooks down, we're going to take some chicken thighs. That's what I like to use on my sandwich. And we're going to try to thin these out a little bit. I wish I got them thinner, but you kind of want like cutlet size pieces if you can get it to that point. If not, also totally fine. To get this chicken super tender when we fry it, I'm going to soak it in buttermilk first for about 4 to 6 hours. You should be able to get the buttermilk in your grocery store. We're going to add a little salt to that, a little bit of garlic powder, and then some black pepper. Mix that all together, and then we're going to submerge this chicken. Just try to get it fully covered. If little bits stick out, that's totally fine. But we're just going to leave that in our fridge for 4 to 6 hours. You can go up to 24 hours. Wrap it, though. You do want this covered, and just forget about that for the next few hours. Shortly after you finish that, your garlic should be ready, so we're just going to pull that from the oven, and that's what we're looking for. Starting to get golden brown, but you can see those cloves are soft. Let it cool for a little bit just so you can handle it, and we're just going to squeeze that into a cup, anything you want to use, a mixing bowl, and then just add some mayo to it and mix it together. Hit it with a little bit of salt, and let that sit in your fridge until the chicken is ready and you cook it. The longer you let it sit in there, the better those flavors are going to get together. Use whatever mayo you like. Very simple. Once you're ready to start actually frying chicken, we need to make a dredge. So it's a cup of flour. I like to add a half a cup of semolina flour for a little extra crunch, and then about a quarter of a cup, half a cup of cornstarch. That will also really help with the crispiness. Mix that together, add a little bit of salt, and now we're just going to transfer that chicken that's been sitting in our fridge right into that dredge. You don't need to dry it off. You don't need to do anything else. That buttermilk is what's going to help the flour and everything else stick to the chicken. Even drip a little liquid in there too, because you'll get some very nice craggly bits from the wet flour that sticks to the chicken, and when it fries it'll get super crunchy, and just repeat that process. I would also say save some of your best pieces for last, because the more wet bits that are in the flour, the better those pieces of chicken will be. I also like some bacon on the sandwich, so we're just going to cook some up. I'm going to cook it to the point I like bacon. You cook yours to how you like bacon. And then I'm just going to put that onto a sizzling platter, and I'm going to store that in my oven at about 190 degrees just to keep it warm until we're ready to assemble this sandwich. But you can pre-cook most of this stuff and just be ready to assemble when you need to. For cooking the chicken, we just have some all-purpose oil here heated up to about 325, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you're getting around that point temperature-wise, because you want this to really start to fry the second you put that chicken in. And then here's that chicken. I added a little bit of semolina to any dry spots while it was off to the side. I let it sit for about 15 minutes just to really let that flour crust develop, and just throw it into your oil. It's probably not going to stick to the bottom, but just move it around a little bit to make sure it doesn't. And immediately it starts to get nice and golden brown. It'll be a little lighter colored for the first few minutes because of the cornstarch, but you'll start to get that golden brown. I like to temperature check it every few minutes just to make sure we're not overcooking it. I'm looking for about 150, 155 degrees when I pull it, because it will continue to cook. I'm going to store these also in my oven while I fry them all off one by one, because I really don't want to overcrowd the oil here. Once you get them to that temperature point, you pull them out. I'm going to store them on a wire rack, like I said, in the oven. I'm just going to hit them with a little bit of salt first, and that salt will kind of melt and stick to the chicken. It'll be perfect. Season it with anything else you kind of want to put it on at this point, but salt should be enough in most cases. As the rest of that chicken fries up, I'm going to cut up some tomato to put on this sandwich. I'm using heirloom tomatoes because they have a little more insides to them that isn't the juicy bits. There's a little more texture and solid. I don't know how to describe it, but you can see there are less cavities there filled with just the seeds and the goop, which I think works a little bit better on a tomato. Once you get them all cut up, though, I'm going to sprinkle them with a little bit of salt and just leave those sitting off on the side until I'm ready to assemble, which we're almost at that point. Next, I'm going to cut up a little bit of bread. Get whatever bread you like from the grocery store. This is just kind of like an olive oil baguette, but a very thick one. I'm not sure what the exact type of bread here. It's kind of like a focaccia. I'm going to cut it into the thickness of about one chicken thigh. That way each thigh is a sandwich. Cut that in half. Be very careful. I'm going to put a little butter on it. We're going to toast it for maybe about a minute or two, which will help that butter melt and also make the bread a little warm and crispy. Mix that up, and now we're going to coat this in that garlic mayo, garlic aioli. The little craggly bits in the bread, the gaps where the air is, that'll soak up all of that too, which is great. So get on as much as you like. And now we're going to start to build. See, that chicken thigh fits perfectly on that sandwich. That's what I'm looking for. If you can't find bread like that, that's totally fine. Just cut the chicken up. I'm going to put a piece of cold American cheese on it as well because I like that textural difference of the cold and warm. A little bit of lettuce, break up some bacon, get that on. This has all just been sitting in the oven staying warm, so it will be a nice hot sandwich still. Get that tomato on. You're fully assembled at this point. If you want to add anything else, go ahead, but you don't need to. I think this sandwich with those elements is perfect. Cutting it open, you'll see that chicken is beautifully cooked. It is crispy, but it is also juicy. The buttermilk brine really keeps it nice and juicy. It is flavorful by also still being kind of plain, which is nice. But look at that. That cross-section is just absolutely flawless. I think this is the best sandwich on earth. If you like fried chicken, this is the sandwich for you.